Hello there, everybody, and today I'm here to review Garfield, A Tale of Two Kitties. I thought since I reviewed Garfield 1, I might as well review the second movie and the only sequel they did after the first movie. I guess the movie was successful enough that they were able to do a second movie, and I guess Bill Murray agreed to do this movie. And I gotta say, this is a pretty alright sequel to the first movie. Not that the first movie was anything spectacular, no. But this is just kind of a straightforward sequel. This is where Garfield goes with John and Liz to London after Liz is going on some trip to, I don't know, present something from her veterinarian job. And she was offered it, but John really wants to go to London so he can propose to Liz. But Garfield doesn't want to be in a kettle all day with Odie, so the two end up sneaking into John's bag, and they go all the way to London, where there's also another cat who looks exactly like Garfield. I'm guessing the filmmakers wanted to really do the whole, let's have two CGI cats who just look like each other and let's see how it works. But no, it just looks like they kind of just copy-pasted the same, like, I don't know, Garfield. And even on this poster, you can't even tell who's the cat. They just look like the same cat. But apparently this cat is named Prince, who's voiced by Tim Curry. That's a wild choice, not a bad choice. I do love Tim Curry. He's an amazing actor, but it's wild that he's in a Garfield movie. He's probably just agreed to it because I don't know, money, or maybe they thought he could do a good British voice. But it all happens when Garfield and Odie decide to travel around London, and they cause some mischief. I even like the scene where Odie sneaks out of the bag, and it causes Liz to get excited, and John, but he's shocked that the two have made it all the way to London. But the two just mess around in the hotel, and then they decide to travel around London to go look for John. But apparently during their little skirmish, Garfield's found by the butler of Prince, because Prince is apparently the cat who lives in some gigantic mansion, and his owner passed away, and so the fortune is being passed on to someone else, that being this one dude. I forget. He's the villain of the movie. I think, yeah. His name is Detrus, I think his name is. Sorry if I got the name wrong, but apparently he hates Prince because apparently he's the one that's chosen to have the fortune. But apparently he grabs Prince and puts him on a raft and sails him away. So yeah, that's animal cruelty right there for abandoning an animal like that. But apparently, Prince falls into the sewer, and he causes Garfield to get, accidentally mistaken for being Prince by one of the butlers, who's played by the awesome Ian Akram, I think his name is. He unfortunately passed away, but I mainly know him for playing Darth Sidious in the Star Wars Clone Wars and many other roles he did. But apparently he's the butler, and once I saw him in this movie, I just knew it was him. But apparently he takes Garfield back to the mansion, but of course Odie can't help out. But apparently he does find Prince, who's in the sewer. Could be a reference to Pennywise. But apparently John finds the two, and apparently he thinks this is Garfield, and we kind of just get the typical switcheroo animals. We even saw this with the Beethoven 4 movie where the two dogs, it's a similar plot where the two dogs get swapped, a rich dog and a just the regular house dog, get swapped places, and they live the lifestyle, different lifestyles. That's basically what Garfield 2 is. So Garfield is welcome into the mansion, and he's greeted by a giant bulldog who looked adorable. But I forget who he's voiced by, but apparently Garfield is just loving being rich after he sees like a pie, and he ends up eating all the food, of course. But apparently Prince doesn't like Garfield's lifestyle. John tries to give him lasagna at some party, but of course he rejects it. But apparently he wants to go find his way back home. It isn't until Odie finds a map of where the mansion could be, and Garfield eventually meets the other animals, and it's just a bunch of kind of just boring stuff that goes on in the movie, where the movie's just kind of going how we think it's gonna go, and the movie surprisingly ends pretty quickly when Prince decides to go look for his mansion, and John decides to go look for Garfield after he realizes the two have been swapped because Odie gives him a newspaper. But the two go to the mansion, and John does meet the butler, who apparently now figures out that Prince and Garfield are the same cat. But we also see Liz at the mansion, who's apparently touring the building. And apparently she's caught into the middle of this, and our main villain ends up trying to go after Garfield by trying to shoot him with a crossbow, I'm pretty sure. And it's just a very wild movie. But apparently John does find Garfield, and he threatens the man when he does swap the crossbow, and the man grabs like a gun, like a wall gun, I'm pretty sure. But apparently Garfield's able to humiliate the man, and he ends up getting arrested. And John finally finds Garfield, and the two still celebrate in London. And Garfield ends up becoming, I guess you can say, the king of his town. So that's Garfield 2. I probably skipped some things. But John does propose to Liz, and the movie kind of just ends with Garfield, like I said, becoming the king. But yeah, this sequel is just meh. It was kind of just had a typical story. I mean, Garfield going to the UK is not a bad idea, but like, I don't know, it's just like the whole point of the Garfield comics, it was just a simple story about a lazy cat who loves lasagna and lives with his owner, who's kind of a dork, and also lives with a dog, a clueless dog named Odie, and gets annoyed by another cat named Normal. But apparently they really wanted to go extreme with the Garfield brand, especially like with its animated movies, and eventually the new one that came out last year. I guess people didn't like that movie, but these movies are definitely well hated in the Garfield community. And do I think it's the worst thing ever? No. But it's definitely not one of my favorite movies, for sure. And the CGI, you can kind of tell. There's even a scene when the two Garfields do meet, and they have this scene where they're trying to mimic what they do, and they tried to make that work. And I even saw this with the Nostalgia Critics review. Apparently, he thinks this is just a copy-paste. And I agree. It looks like they're just copy and pasting the CGI of the two cats. But, yeah, the CGI just looks honestly more noticeable when I saw this movie. But the other dogs, and animals that you can kind of just tell it's all CGI, and they're voiced probably by celebrities I don't know. But I probably give Garfield, A Tale of Two Kitties, probably just a 5 out of 10. So not the worst thing ever, but not my favorite thing of the Garfield. Honestly, these two movies have taught me I'd rather just read the Garfield comic strip. But what do you think of the Garfield movies? And do you think I should review the recent one? So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.